y'all. Time for this first edition of the hopefully weekly Steel Mace Flow session hosted by me, Frankenlegs, Zach Yannick, here for the tribe as well as for the people on the YouTube. Welcome. We're going to be just doing a nice simple Steel Mace Flow today based on and around a swing, a 360, a 10 and 2. I'll show you some fancy stuff around it, but if you have a nice 360 or even just a passable, safe 360, that's going to work. That's going to cut it. You're all good. As far as space, I have a good amount of space today beside me, not a ton overhead. You don't need it either. As long as you can reach up high and not touch the ceiling, or reach out to the sides and not touch the wall, you'll have more than enough space today, because we're not really going to hit the lower body. Can you win this flow? Absolutely. Are we going to? Hey, not in the video, but maybe you want to throw that on your own down the line. So, as mentioned, this is built around a swing. You can do this one-handed, you can do this two-handed, up to you. But the first thing we're going to start with is just a nice set of 10 and 2s. So I'm going to find my nice front rack position, and for a minute, in 3, 2, 1, I'm going to find my nice 10 and 2. Going one way and back the other. Now I'm finding around that 10 o'clock and that 2 o'clock, or maybe an 11 and 1 every once in a while. But if you want to return to noon, 12 o'clock each time, please feel free. Now, of course, there's some things to be aware of here. One, nice high, tight elbows, nice deep backswing, spines in line, breaths under control. I'm staying wicked stable right now, but if you want to add a little bit of sway, a little bit of counterbalance, and you're doing so under control, please feel free. Another thing to note, hey, no music. Please feel free to throw some on for yourself in the background if you need to, but I'm not going to because, you know, copyright's a thing. And I don't want the video muted, because then how are you going to hear my sweet cues? We got about 10 more seconds of going back and forth here. Of course, if you needed to pause, that's totally fine. Pause when you need to, work when you can, but in 3, 2, 1, we're going to take a minute out. Good, catch your breath. Nice big deep inhales, nice long exhales. Nice way to start greasing the groove. 10 and 2, start it off smooth. Now, through this, I'm going to be using timed sets. On that, pause when you need to, work when you can. This is your workout. I'm going to give you the time. I'm going to give you the moves, but you're the one doing the work, so find your best with it, you know. Again, pause when you need to, work when you can. Right now, I recommend grabbing some water, moving around a little. What we're going to do next is we're going to switch this 10 and 2 up, and we're going to go into a ballistic curl 10 and 2. So in Steel Mace Flow terms, we're going to be in an under-over grip in landmark 2, which is this position here. It means the hand next to the head is underneath it. The hand by the tail is over top. I'm going to keep my elbows nice and tight. Now what I'm going to do is push the head up and find that front rack position. Now the head's already traveling this way, so I'm going to let it continue traveling that way into the swing. Now that went over my left shoulder, so I'm going to catch it now with my left hand. Again, elbows in tight, this hand's under, this hand's over. Same thing, I'm going to push it up. If I extend my index finger, it means, hey, I'm going that way. I'm going to find that swing. I like to slide my hand up the mace personally, but you can find catch and release. So again, I'm going to push it up, slide my hand, find the swing, and slide my hand up, catching through. I go over my right shoulder, means my right hand catches. I go over my left shoulder, means my left hand catches. Over the right, with the right, over the left with the left. And hey, if you want the more advanced version of this, the hand that's pushing up is then going to grab and swing. The other hand catches. It pushes up, grabs, and swing, catches through. But if you're following along with me, fantastic, keep going. If you weren't, we're going to start that together now, the easier version, in 3, 2, 1. I'm pushing my hand up, sliding it down, either on top or underneath, and finding my swing. The opposite hand now slides over and catch. Essentially, this is just a real fancy, over-cued way of doing a hand-to-hand. I'm going from one hand to the other. Some people like to switch which hand is on top with each swing. Some people like to keep which hand's on top. Personally, I say go with what feels best. but we're finding that nice high tight bullhorn swing. We're still keeping that nice swing. We can go real slow and real controlled if we need to. Of course, hitting each position. Or we can move a little quicker and find the fluidity to it. But you do you. Find what works best for you. But in 3, 2, 1, stick pause. Cool, deep inhales, long exhales. Nice and simple so far, hopefully. Everyone looks like they're moving well, so far so good. But again, under over is going to be a big key. The hand that's next to the head is going to be underneath. The hand that's on the tail, that's going to be on top, meaning palm down. We're going to be finding that nice slide as we go. And essentially all we're going to be doing here to build this flow, which I call the world's most complicated 10 and 2, all we're going to do is increase the range of motion for that curl and for the circle the curl creates eventually. So right now we've been doing it right here, right? Landmark 2 as we talked, going with that ballistic curl. Now we're going to increase the range of motion. We're going to go from a landmark 2 into a cross-body bottom. The mace is across my body, heads at the bottom. You could also call this mixed landmark 1-3, but cross-body bottom works better, I find. Now I'm going to make sure that my wrists are nice and straight here, and I'm stable and strong. What's going to happen is exactly the same thing as the last set. I'm going to curl that head up, dumping the tail. I'm going to let that top hand point the way, and I'm going to find that swing. I'm then going to catch with the side that went over, again a fancy hand to hand, and instead of stopping in landmark 2, I'll go to cross body. So let's just look at it from each position. Cross body, landmark 2, finding front rack, swing. Finding under over, landmark 2, cross body, 2, front rack, swing, front rack, 2, cross body, back and forth. If you've already started following along with me, please feel free to continue. If you haven't, let's find that cross body bottom, under over, in 3, 2, 1, stand it up, point the way, find your swing. Catch with the side you went over. If you're just mirroring me, that should be working too. So again, cross body bottom, stack it up, find the swing, slide it through. We're just gonna go back and forth like that, nice and simple, nice and smooth. Y'all are doing fantastic so far. Again, if you want the tougher variation, slide the hand, it swings, catch with the other. Slide the hand, it swings, catch with the other. Back and forth, smooth and controlled. Again, feel free to switch which hand's on top. Feel free to go with what's comfortable. Again, I'm staying nice and stable through my feet today. If you want to add your little bit of sway, all good as long as you're controlled. Bam. Good. Next pause in 3, 2, 1. Very good. Cool, y'all. So far so good. Nice and smooth with it, nice and strong with it. And again, I'll just remind everyone, pause when you need to, work when you can. It's all good. So grab some fluid, shake the hands, move around, do what you need. Again, we're going to increase this range a little bit. I know you're already thinking, you're like, Coach Zach, freaking legs. Where? How? I'm at the end, arms straight. But we're going to bend it again. This time we're going to bend inward into what's called a cradle. So how I like to think about this is mace across the face. I think of it with this hand. I cross it, and then this arm's already trying to push, or the mace is already trying to push this arm up into the cradle. From here, we're just going to unwind, meaning we're going to push that head down again, control the tail, find our cross body, our landmark 2, our front rack, and our swing. Cool. Front rack, landmark 2, cross body into cradle. Hand across the face, mace across the face, cradle through. I like to slide my hand. I'm going to open, again grabbing the tail, cross body, landmark 2, front wrap, swing. Right, we're all comfortable through here. Hand across the face, cradle. Called a cradle because it's a cradle of a baby. I open up. I unwind it, and I swing it through. Catch, 2, cross, cradle. Cross, 2, rack, swing. Rack, 2, cross, cradle. If you haven't already joined me, please feel free. I'll find the cradle. Actually, join me in landmark 2 if you haven't already. So in 3, 2, 1, we're in we're in crossbody bottom. Now we're going to find the cradle. Bring that hand across your face, wiping the sweat off your brow, closing it up. Cool, now let's unwind it. Opening that arm straight, bringing that tail back to crossbody, finding 2, front rack, swing. Yeah, very good, y'all. Front rack, grabbing it, crossbody top if you want. 2, crossbody, cradle. Crossbody, 2, rack, swing. Rack, 2, crossbody, cradle. Start to smooth out the seams as you feel comfortable with it. Feel free to keep the seams. Rhythm and timing, that's the difference in Steel Mace flow. That's how you make your movement look a little unique. That's how you make it true to you. That's how you can maybe take the same flow and mix up how it's hitting you, what it's doing for you. But nice and smooth, finding the cradle. I'm gonna go nice and slow so you can follow me if you'd like. We're gonna do this one a little longer than the others because we're getting a little bit more complex. The last ones we've been doing for 1 minute. This one we're gonna do for 2. Not too long, but again, pause when you need to, work when you can. If we need that reminder on the landmarks, 2, crossbody, face across the face, cradle. Crossbody, 2, rack, swing, rack, 2, crossbody. You're going to push the tail across the face and let that bend the arm in the cradle. We're going to unwind. 2, rack, swing. Good, y'all. Again, I'll keep it nice and smooth for you, nice and slow for you. Owning, controlling, breathing. Good. Owning your space, keeping your control. And in 3, 2, 1, take your next pause. Cool. So this is where Steel Mace flow gets fun. We're going to continue moving. We're going to continue grooving. Things are going to get more and more complex. But you can feel free to continue doing what we were just doing. For any of the sets, you can feel free to regress a little, to pull back a little, because now you know this just goes back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Maybe you want to go all the way back to the beginning and just rock 10 and 2s. Please feel free. Always down for a good swing session. But if you want to continue to add the intensity with me, add the complexity with me, please feel free. But again, if you hit a point where it's like, oh, you know, that's a little too much brain food for me, please feel free to hang out there. But I'm going to keep building. I know a few of you will with me as well. So far we've gotten into a cradle, right? We were first in our landmark 2s, finding the 360 after the ballistic curl. And then from there, we were going all the way down to the crossbody to find the switch curl. And then from the switch curl, we found our way into cradle. This next one is one of my favorite movements, one of the first moves I ever deep dove in with Steel Mace Flow. It is the folding knife. So what I'm going to do here is open my hand as wide as I possibly can. I'm going to let it go away from my body a little bit here, because what's going to happen is I'm going to use my hand as a platform to turn the mace on. So I'm going to grab the mace, and this is how I like to do it. I put my index finger on top and my thumb right against, and then I just start to initiate the turn, eventually taking full control. But here, all I'm doing is turning the mace on top of my hand. Back to landmark 2. Okay, so let's look on the other side. I find my cradle, right? We know this. I'm going to open my hand, grab the mace, and open it back up, right around the arm here, into my under over landmark 2 again. So let's look at this real slow and controlled together. Let's start from landmark 2. Or actually, let's start from front rack, because we'll go from the swing. So I'm in my front rack. I'm going to find a 360 to my left here, camera's right. In 3, 2, 1, I find my swing. Cool, now we know what we're going for, right? We find our landmark 2 again, we find our crossbody, we find our cradle, we're good there. Now, the hand opens up, it turns around. If you grab too soon, you'll end up in an over-over. So let it turn all the way around before you grab again. From here, we're just gonna stack it back up adjust our hands if needed, and swing the other way. 360, catch, landmark 2, crossbody bottom, cradle. Now for that folding knife, again, this hand's here. It can be like this if you adjust it after, but we're going to open up and roll all the way through. Notice this is under. This is what I meant by adjust later. Boom. And we're back to the top. I stack it up, find my 360, catch it, landmark 2, crossbody bottom, cradle, folding knife. Hand opens all the way around. Stack it up. 360, catch, 2, cross, cradle, folding knife. Straight from the side. 360, catch, 2, cross, cradle, folding knife. Okay? Hold on. That helped. Cool. Stack it up. 360. If you haven't joined me already, please feel free to. We'll start landmark 2, then we'll find our crossbody. If we do 1, we'll find our cradle. Hand opens. Get the thumb out of the way because it's going to want to grab. And again, if you grab too early, you'll end up under grip like this. Just switch it over. Yeah, good. We'll pop it back up. But to do it fully and smoothly, again, we're catching 2, crossbody, cradle, open it up and keep it open as long as you can until that mace is back in your body, and then grab that sucker, pop it back up. Same idea, we're going to do 2 minutes here. I'll move nice and slow through the landmarks so you can move along with me. Again, if you find that this folding knife is maybe a little too much brain food, feel free to go back, right? Rock just that cradle, go back, rock just the crossbody, go back and rock just a landmark 2, or go all the way back and just rock that swing. I am never going to tell a person not to swing. At Warrior Flow, the facility I own, we have a saying, when in doubt, swing it out. That means, hey, if sometimes the brain food's just a little too much, or maybe you're just not into it for whatever reason, you can always swing the mace. I'm never going to tell you no. 360s, 10 and 2s, the world's most complicated 10 and 2 that we're building. One of the stops along the way, samurai swings. You do you. Find your swing. But me, I'm going to keep building this flow and getting these reps in, owning my positions, focused on stable, focused on strong, focused on controlled. We can go for 30 more seconds. Boom. 2. Cross, cradle, knife. Stack it. Swing it. It's like an old school mop it. Catch. 2. Cross, cradle, knife. Stack it. Swing. Catch. 2. Cross, cradle, knife. And then 3, 2, 1. Take a pause. Cool, y'all. Pause it, shake it, move it, groove it, do what you need. Again, grab air, grab fluid, do what you need. So far, so good. So we've gone from straight swings. You can feel free to pause here. We've gone from straight swings, or hey, feel free to move with me. Straight swings to ballistic curl, 10 and 2s. To switch curl, 10 and 2s. To cradle, 10 and 2s. To folding knife, 10 and 2s. My goodness, all the ways to transition from side to side. Now what we're going to do is add a Shaolin wrist control to this. All right? I know it sounds a little funky. Don't you worry. I'll get you there. So, well, let's start from the swing. And again, feel free to watch a few of these first. I'd highly recommend it. Feel free to move with me. And again, you don't have to do this. Feel free to continue working one of the other variations. But I'm going to stack it up. I'm going to find my swing over to my left. 3, 2, 1. Here I'm going. Again, feel free just to watch. But I'm going to find my swing, and I'm going to find my landmark 2, crossbody bottom, cradle, my folding knife. Now from here, I'm going to push the tail down. I'm going to let the head follow until my arm is straight again. Boom. So now the tail is tucked on the outside of my body. From here, I'm going to grab the mace by the tail. This is where I want to be. And for right now, that's what we're going to do. We're not going to go for the full wrist control. We're just going to come to this outside guard position. So from the guard, I'm going to release, roll back through, and find my swing again. 360, catch to 2, to cross, to cradle. Folding knife, let's find the guard. Push the tail down, let that head follow the circle. Outside guard, protect your face. Grab the tail if you can. If you can't, cheat the mace forward a little bit, the tail forward. Yep, and you'll be able to grab it, which we'll want for later. But right now, let's just unwind. So push the tail back, let it roll through to 2. Find the 360. Catch it, 2, cradle, crossbody, knife, push the tail, find the guard. All right, if you haven't already, please feel free to join me. We'll start in landmark 2. We'll pop it up, and we'll find the 360. We'll catch, we'll find 2, crossbody, cradle, folding knife. We're going to do this for 3 minutes, by the way. Then from here, push the tail down. Good. Let the head follow until the arm is straight, outside guard. And I'd recommend having the hand, especially when you start to add pace. Push the tail away, find your 2. It's 360. Catch, 2, cross, cradle, knife, push the tail, find the guard. Unwind. Swing, catch, 2, crossbody, cradle, knife, guard. I'm going to do one at pace here for you so that you can get the feel for the smooth that we'll eventually be looking to find. But for right now, because I'm going to be guiding through, and I know a few of you are just mirroring, I shouldn't say just mirroring, a few of you are mirroring me, I'm going to go nice and slow and controlled. Catch, 2, cross, cradle, knife, push the tail, find the guard. And again, feel free to work any variation of what we've been doing. You do you. Find your swing. Catch, 2, cross, cradle, knife, guard. 2. Swing it. Catch, 2, cross, cradle, knife, guard. If you're finding you can't get into the guard from where you're exiting your cradle, it's probably because you're grabbing too early and you're getting here. So remember, under grip so that you can punch it down. That's why we have to be in the under grip. Yeah. Cool. Opening it back up. Swing, we have less than a minute. Catch, 2, cross, cradle, knife, guard. Bam. Bam. Find the swing. Find the catch. 2, cross, cradle, knife, guard, retreat. Swing, catch, 2, cross, cradle, knife, guard. And again, any level of smooth. If there's an area where, like, if you're like, man, I got this, and then you got to break it down a little bit, that's all good. But in 3, 2, 1, taking our next pause. Crushing it. You're crushing it. Even if you're watching the recording and I can't see you, I know you're crushing it. I can sense the energy. I feel the vibes. Let's keep that shit up. Let's keep it moving. Let's keep it grooving. So, I'm going to add a little bit more complexity. Again, you feel free to keep rocking any variation that you see fit. Let's take a quick reminder on those variations. Feel free to move with me. Feel free not to. I'm going to do a rep on each side of each one, but feel free not to. So again, 10 and 2 is where we started. Rep on each side. Then we went into the ballistic curl. 10 and 2. Bam. Bam. Then we found the switch curl 10 and 2, that's the crossbody bottom one. Then from there we kept the circle going, and we found the cradle, right? Mace across the face, cradle, unwind, swing it through. Mace across the face, cradle, unwind, swing it through. And then we found the folding knife. So we caught, 2, cross, cradle, opening that hand nice and wide, circling it all the way around, finding that under grip as we know now why it's so important. Pop it up, catch, cradle, knife. From there we found our way into the guard. Cradle, knife. We push the tail down, punch the head down after we found the guard position. Unwound, throw it home. Catch, cross, cradle, knife, guard. We're going to build from here now. So now we're going to go into the full Shaolin wrist control out of that guard, which is going to reset it. So again, this is just taking the circle and drawing it a little bigger. So we have this circle of the 360, and then we draw this circle here with the cradle. From there, we are going to reset our circle with the folding knife, and now we're going to draw this circle to set us up for the swing again. How we do that again is by punching into guard, but then taking control of that tail. Now here's the new thing. I'm going to let go with this hand and push it up with my wrist. I'm going to try and keep that circle by lifting my arm outside. I can make it easier on myself though by dumping the tail as well. And I'm going to set back here. My wrist kind of in between camera and Mace, right? Computer and Mace, whatever you're looking at, as opposed to me and Mace. Knows, or lets me know I'm in the proper position. I can point my hand again. I'm going that way. So I'm going to slide the hand, find the swing. Back to front rack, right? We have our catch. All this is the same. 2, cross, cradle, folding knife, guard. Again, the new thing. Take control of the tail, let go of the head, lift with your wrist, and find your front rack again, however you need to. Stack it back. And again, feel free to do any variation. I'm going to swing, catch, 2, cross, cradle, folding knife, guard, Shaolin wrist control. Lift with the wrist, dump the tail to find your front rack. If you've already started to move with me, fantastic. If you haven't, please feel free to. And again, any variation. I'm catching, finding 2, cross, cradle. I'm going to open up the folding knife. Again, I need to find that under grip. Push the tail, guard. Grab the tail, let go. Lift it up. Awesome. We're going that way. Swing, catch, 2, cross, cradle, folding knife, guard, Shaolin wrist control. I'm going to throw one real smooth one here for you so y'all can get the jive of it. Bam, look at that. I've done this a time or two. I'm also so humble. But yeah, this is what we're going to eventually strive towards. But for right now, feel free. Landmarks, landmarks, landmarks. That's how I got as smooth as I got, is by owning my positions so I understood the motion. This is one of my favorites. I came up with this one a few years ago in my backyard when I asked myself the question, what's the most complicated way you can swing the mace and go from side to side? This is the answer I came up with. There's a lot of cool answers out there. Look them up. But 2, cross, cradle, folding knife, push tail, punch head. Grab that tail. Lift the head with the wrist. Back to your front rack, we're going over there. Swing, catch, 2, cross, cradle, knife, push tail, punch head. Guard, Shaolin wrist. Back the other way. Good, we're going to go back and forth. Again, pause if you need to. Work when you can. We're about halfway through the set here. Keeping smooth, keeping strong, keeping controlled. I'm loving it. I don't know if you are, but this is going fantastic. Y'all are moving great. And again, any variation, Even if that's right back to base 10 and 2s, that means it's a win in my book if you get through the whole session. Even if you don't, even if you pause, it's a win because you're put the effort in, right? You're lapping everyone that's just sitting there on the couch, not moving with the mace, just watching me, because I know you're out there too. But hey, I appreciate you guys too. Keep it up. Hopefully at some point you pick the mace up. But let's keep it grooving. Let's keep it moving for another minute. I'll slow back down a little. I started to groove there. From my front rack, I'm finding my swing. I'm catching to 2, cross, cradle, folding knife. I'm going to push the tail, push the head to find my guard. Taking control of the tail, lifting with that wrist back to my swing. And back and forth, smooth and controlled. There's all sorts of little tips and tricks to make this more smooth and more controlled. I don't have the time for it right now, unfortunately, because we're almost at the end of this set here. And the most fun part is still Mace Flows, experimenting and playing. But if you do want more, feel free to hit me up, send me a message, all sorts of options. We'll keep it grooving. Let's go for one more. We're catching to 2, to cross, to cradle, to folding knife. We'll push that tail down, we'll head up, and then we'll push the head down. We'll take the tail, lift with the wrist. One more swing, we'll pause. Good, 3, 2, 1. 2, pause. Brilliant, y'all. Moving fantastic. Moving brilliantly. Arms my heart rate. There's one more section to this movement, or to this flow, pardon me. One more move to this flow. And that is another Shaolin wrist control, but this time on the way in. So for the first time, we're going to switch what we do in the catch. Again, please feel free to stick with whatever brain food was the most appetizing to you. Any version of the swing. Again, let me refresh what each version of the swing is. Do any of them. Pause now. If you like, I highly recommend pausing now, but if you want to move with me, please move with me. Same idea, I'm going to do 2 reps and I'll move on. So the first, of course, being those just base swings, right? After the base swings, we went into those ballistic curl 10 and 2s is the fancy name, but the landmark 2 to landmark 2. From there, we went crossbody to crossbody, fancy name switch curl 10 and 2s. 10 and 2s just these days meaning one way back the other. Then from the switch curl 10 and 2s, otherwise known as crossbody to crossbody, we added the cradle. So we went 2, cross, cradle, then back to cross, to swing. 2, cross, cradle, cross, 2, swing. After that, we found our guard. 2, cross, cradle. Pardon me, we didn't find the guard yet. We found the folding knife, and then we popped it back up. Found the catch, 2, cross, cradle, folding knife. Then from there is where we found guard. So we found the swing. Then our 2, our cross, our cradle, our knife, and our guard. Then we unwind it, threw it the other way. We swung, and we found the catch, the 2, the cross, the cradle, the folding knife, and the guard. After that, we got all the way to the Shaolin. We went swing, catch, 2, cross, cradle, knife, guard, Shaolin. Swing, catch, 2, cross, cradle, knife, guard, Shaolin. Now what we're going to do is catch with the wrist as well. So I'm lifting with the wrist, and I'm going to end up catching with the wrist. So same idea. Feel free to stick to any variation, but I need to get this hand not between me and the mace, but on the other side. The mace is between me and my hand, and that will allow me to open up how I need to. I could get into a good strong Shaolin from here, or I can let it roll all the way through, which is what we'll be doing. So from the swing, I'm going to go swing, catch. Watch this. This hand's already on the other side, right? So I'm just going to flip it, slide it up. Catch with the wrist, roll all the way to the guard. Cool. Take control here, just like we did, right? And if we let go of the tail, we're in the guard position again, and find that landmark 2, like we did when we were doing the guard version of this. Now from here, keep it going. Tail comes up. We're in our cross, We're finding mace across the face to our cradle. We're going to folding knife, catching R2 again, right? Now we're going to find the guard. And now we're going to lift with the wrist in that Shaolin, very good. And we're going to go 360 that way. 360. We're going to catch with the wrist. Again, flip the back, slide it up, roll it through. Keep it rolling to the guard. Find your way back to 2. Cross, cradle, folding knife. Find your guard. Grab the tail, lift with the wrist. And again, feel free to rock any of the variations we did. I'm going to go through each variation one more time here, and then feel free to move with me if you haven't already. If you have, feel free to keep going. So, first variation, swing one way, swing the other. Second variation, ballistics, landmark 2 to landmark 2. Third variation, down to the crossbody. Down to the crossbody. Next variation, we went through 2, through cross, into cradle. Cross, 2, swing. 2, cross, cradle, cross, 2, swing. Then we found the knife. 2, cross, cradle, knife, swing. 2, cross, cradle, knife, swing. From there, we caught that bad boy. We went to 2, we went to cross, we found the cradle, we found our knife, and then we opened to the guard, pushing the tail down. Then from there, we unwound back here, right? We saw how that tail moved. And then we swung. Catch, 2, cross, cradle, folding knife, guard, unwind. Then from there, we found our wrist control on the way out. We caught, cross, 2, cross, cradle, knife, guard, into the wrist. Bam. Found our swing. We caught it. We went 2, cross, cradle, knife, guard, wrist. From here, we caught on the wrist. So we threw from the wrist, and now again, we can catch it in 12 and go right up, nice and slow, nice and controlled. Guard, 2, cross, cradle, knife, push the head, or push the tail, pardon me, dump the head, grab the tail, lift with the wrist. We're now going that way. Feel free to rock any variation. Feel free to follow along with me. Again, I'm going to move nice and smooth with it, nice and controlled with it. I'm going to start the timer 3 minutes from now. Let's go 3.5 minutes from now, just to really round it out. Maybe we'll go further. We'll see how I'm feeling once I get from side to side a little bit here. But we're owning our rotation. We're owning our positions. We're keeping our control. As mentioned earlier, I don't have any footwork for this flow right now. If you want to add some, please feel free to. You absolutely can throw any of the still mace flow steps into a wide variety of these positions. You can lunge in any way, shape, or form as long as you're not getting in the way of the mace, right? Be aware of yourself. Move and groove with it. We're lifting. And again, you can feel free to just do straight 10 and 2s right now. You can do ballistic curls. You can do the folding knife version. You can do anything that we've worked on today. Please feel free. But moving as best you can, grooving with it. Remembering to breathe with it, of course. I like to say there's 3 levels of breath control. Level 1, just breathe. Please breathe. Don't hold your breath in a session like this. Level 2, have a pattern of some kind. And level 3, have an applied pattern. But please, at least level 1 today, keep it smooth, keep it controlled. Again, any variation of the swing you want. I'm going to talk through the landmarks here for just a minute to refresh that, right? I'm in my front rack. I'm going to slide the back of my hand to my wrist, and I'm going to roll all the way through to guard. I'm going to catch with that thumb and index next to the head. I'm going to let go of the tail so I can find my landmark 2, under over. Crossbody, cradle, folding knife. Again, I'm going to let it get all the way around before I grab. Push the tail, push the head to find that guard again. Taking the tail, lifting with the wrist, and now initiate the swing that way. Swing, boom, front rack. Catch on the wrist, roll through to guard. Landmark 2, cross, body, cradle, folding knife. Find your guard again. Again, push the tail to get there. Lift with the wrist for that wrist control. Swing it the other way. Cool. Wrist, guard, 2, cross, cradle, knife, guard, wrist. Swing, wrist, guard, 2, cross, cradle, knife, guard, wrist. If you want the more advanced version, just like we were doing before, comes to a single-handed. When we go to the swing, I'm finding my roll, punching through. This is tricky because I'm going to have to get this all the way down and swing through. Or you end up doing an outside swing, which is okay as well. I personally am not a huge fan of how they make my shoulder feel, so I don't like to do them. But yeah, a person could do that, but then they have to get this wrist all the way around. So just give and take on either way. Personally, I like to do this part two-handed. When I get to the full advanced version, two-handed. Could you do this with a heavier mace? Yeah, depending on how strong you are. You could definitely do parts of it with a heavier mace, kind of no matter who you are, right? Like the 10 and 2. Of course, you can get heavier and heavier. Me personally, I don't like to do the wrist stuff with anything above like 50-ish pounds, but that's maybe just because I haven't spent enough time with it and I need to strengthen my wrists, so who knows. But right now, I'm using a 5 kilo. That's what I like to do movements like this with. Maybe I should have mentioned that at the beginning, but hey, that's where most people start off anyways. That's what most people have. And by this point, I'd imagine if you started with a 15, 20, 25 or heavier, you'd probably move down. If you haven't, heck yeah, good for you. Tough as nails. But we're gonna go for, let's go for another minute and a half or so. I'm feeling good with this. I'll talk us through it. Right, I'm finding my my 2. You know what, let's start from the 2 even. Crossbody, cradle, folding knife, push tail, let head fall to guard, take the tail, lift with the wrist. We're gonna find our swing, to then catch on our wrist again, let it all the way down, let that tail hand rise. Find your guard, roll through to 2, cross, cradle, knife. Push the tail, find your guard. Lift with the wrist, swing, catch wrist, roll through. 2, cross, cradle, knife, guard, lift with the wrist. I'll go through the whole sequences again. Please feel free to join me if you'd like. Please feel free not to. This is the last thing I'm going to do. 10 and 2 started us off one way, back the other. From there we found landmark 2 to landmark 2 with the swing. From there we went crossbody to crossbody, of course passing through 2 as we did. Then from there we found the cradle by going 2, cross, cradle, then we unwound, cross, 2, swing, catch, 2, cross, cradle, cross, 2, swing. And we found the folding knife, right? Catch, 2, cross, cradle, folding knife, getting it all the way around. Then we threw from there. Swing, catch, 2, cross, cradle, open that hand, find that folding knife. From there, we found our way all the way to guard. Swing, catch, 2, cross, cradle, knife, and guard. Again, guard, pushing tail down, letting the momentum pull the head, we're protected. Then we unwound to practice that essentially for the next thing, but shot it from there. Catch, 2, cross, cradle, knife, guard. From there we added the wrist control. Swing, catch, 2, cross, cradle, knife, guard, wrist. Swing, catch, 2, cross, cradle, knife, guard, wrist. And then we added a catch off the swing, also onto the wrist, so mirroring this position. Swing, wrist, guard, 2, cross, cradle, knife, guard, wrist, swing, wrist, guard, 2, cross, cradle, knife, guard, wrist, swing. Done fluidly. Done hitting each landmark. Wrist, guard, 2, cross, cradle, knife, underhook, guard, wrist, swing. And that, my friends, is what I have for you. Hopefully play around with that. If you post it somewhere, please feel free to tag me. My cat's coming to say hi as well at the end here. His name is Peter. He's my assistant coach. He loves to get involved. Some of you have probably seen him before. But anyways, that's what I have for you today. Please, please, please tag me if you post it. Let me know in the comments what you thought of it. If you added legs to this especially, I'd love to see it. Let's check that out. But that's what I have for you this time. I hope you enjoyed. I'll see you next week. Peace and love, y'all.